Hello there. My name is Beth Green, otherwise known as Granny Rocks.
And my name is James Maynard, otherwise known as Sweet Baby James, and you have come to Lighting the Way, Granny Raps and Rocks. So please do chat with us. I'll be able to catch those chats and pass them on to Beth, and she can talk directly to you if you're here live in person. And if not, you can comment, and she will comment back to you.
Yeah, as soon as I see your comment, and I get on Facebook and I see your comment, I will reply. So I'm very happy that you're with us tonight. And some of you will be here live and some of you will be here later. But either way, you are very, very welcome. What do I want to talk about tonight? The topic is, I know what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, 4 ways for overcoming fear and gloom.
4 tips.
Four
tips for overcoming fear and gloom about our world or about our lives. 4. It's very funny. I got the topic, I channeled things. I just, look at that. We have
comment already. Catalina says hi, sends a heart of love, and says your YouTube is working great.
Great.
And Tracy is here and says very helpful and timely topic. Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you, Catalina, and thank you, Tracy. Yes, I thought it was very timely because, I was feeling kind of gloomy and kind of doomy, and I didn't like the way I felt. So I thought, maybe I should do something about that tonight on the show. And so here we are. So when I got the name of the show, because sometimes I get the name before I even know what I'm going to be talking about. So I heard 4 tips for overcoming, fear and gloom about your life. And we have another lovely person.
Comment here.
Yes.
Elizabeth says hello and sends a heart of love and caring. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Hello. Thank you. So I said 4 tips. I said, do I even have one? So
we hope you have 4. I'm looking forward to learning something here.
So as it happens, I do have 4. But I didn't know what they were going to be when I got the name of the show. Because I have to do all this stuff before the show to get the topic on the Facebook and all that stuff. So there it is, Okay, so I want to start with number 1. See, number 1, right? And that is to accept reality. Now, I want to be very clear about what that means. So,
because there are certain realities we just don't want to accept.
We
right?
just don't want to accept. I mean, a lot of us are experiencing a lot of gloom and doom and fear because of the new administration. If I were an undocumented person, I'd be really scared to death. And there's all kinds of garbage going on right now. And our new president isn't even president yet. But anyway, but a lot of people are upset about a lot of things. But it's not just about politics. It can be about your own personal life. Let's say you discover that your daughter is shooting heroin. Not good.
Heaven forbid.
Heaven forbid. Or that your darling husband is watching porno on his cell phone, or cheating on you, or something else. So, by the way, we might have some trouble with the internet tonight because of storms. So the internet may be a little bit flaky. To bear with us, we're going to do the best we can to hang in there. Okay, so let's say those things happen. So it could be like in your personal life, or it could be, on the political level, that you may be really upset and freaked out and worrying about yourself, worrying about others, and so on. Okay. So, what I'm saying is the first tip is the first step towards any kind of sanity whatsoever is to accept whatever the reality is that you don't like. And when I say accept it, I don't mean like internalize and say, "Oh yeah, that's wonderful. I'm so happy. I'm really very happy that."
Do you mean being congruent with reality?
That is exactly what I mean. So maybe you aren't. Maybe you don't have an arrangement with your spouse, which is, "Hey, it's okay for us to swing." Maybe you don't have that agreement and you discovered that your spouse is swinging. So you don't like that. You may say, "I'm not going to put up with it." You may go through all of this stuff. But the first thing is you have to acknowledge and accept the fact that it is happening. And I know that certainly on the social or the political arena, it's like there are things that are going on in our nation that some of us are not happy about. And we have to acknowledge that they are happening and not hide our heads in the sand or anywhere else or in the sandbox. And when I say to accept that, to allow it to be so, it is not that I accept it into me like I'm swallowing it. Oh, I'm accepting that compliment that's coming into me. No, I mean, I'm allowing that it is so. So that gives me a little bit of distance. And this leads us directly to tip number 2, which is extremely important. Don't exaggerate. Don't exaggerate. Are you kidding? That's what we do. As soon as something that we don't like happens, then we have to amplify it and we have to,
Dramatize
it, and then we have to tell everybody about it, and we have to do all of that kind of good stuff, right?
I'll bet you that just makes things worse.
It just makes things worse. And, we get ourselves so revved up in advance. We don't even know what's going to happen, but we already know it's going to be bad, and we get all up, and then we talk to our friends. Did you see? And then it's on social media. Now, what was it? And what was the source of that information? Oh. So this is so big. I want us just to take a moment to take this in. Don't exaggerate it, amplify it, dramatize it, call everybody and did you see this? Did you see this? Especially when we don't even know what is going to happen and what is true. And this is so important because otherwise we are making ourselves gloomy and fearful. Now, does that make sense to everybody so far?
Too true.
Too true. Very hard, especially when you have collectives of people who want to feed all of this stuff. Now, the third tip, and this is like sequential in a way. Change your focus. So,
oh, by the way, Todd is here and says, "Hi there. Didn't get the topic." The description says this is Magical Improvs. Well,
Oh, it happened again. You have no idea what happened before the show. I went in to put all the information in, and I was locked out, and then they said that I couldn't do this, and I was working on it for hours just to get anything in, and evidently the description didn't travel. But at least we are broadcasting, and
I
I'm
had to
kind of
disbelieve
surprised.
it when I saw that over here on YouTube. It says it was Magical Improvs.
Oh,
But I saw that it
no.
was being broadcast live right now, so I figured, oh,
Oh,
that's the show
no.
we're doing now.
I
regardless of what they
changed
describe it
all
as.
of those things. Oh my God.
Oh,
I don't know what to say.
well.
I had a the last minute I had to subscribe. I've been doing the same thing for like years, and suddenly they changed it without any notice, and I had to do the subscription, and I changed all the information, and it didn't work, did it? Well, maybe
Well,
that's
at
why
least we're
through,
broadcasting live. That's the main thing.
and afterwards I'm going to go in and I'm going to try to edit what I said in the description.
4 tips.
Oh well. Now you know what it is. It's 4 tips for dealing with overcoming the fear and the gloom, because people are upset about a lot of things. Okay, so now I have something else to be upset about, which I didn't know.
You're
Okay.
congruent with reality.
I
But you're
am.
making the
I'm
best of
doing it, and it's like when I said at the last minute with these people, suddenly, at the last minute, they tell me I have to subscribe, and I haven't been subscribing for years, and what was I going to do? I had
You
to.
have no choice.
I had no choice. I had to accept what was so, and I had to very quickly
You didn't have
evaluate.
to like it, just accept
I
it.
didn't have to like it, but I just had to go with it. And I said, all right, so what do I do? And how do I make this work? Which obviously it didn't, but
Todd just gave us a thumbs up for
thank
making it
you.
work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least we're here, which we wouldn't have been. And I thought, well, for the cost of the subscription, I'll get on the air. It's worth it to me, right? So that's
Yeah.
it. So now going back to change the focus, I want to talk about that for a minute.
Do you want to, just a second. Todd says, I was hearing the tips, but I didn't have the context. Well, fear or gloom in your personal life or in society or political situation.
Right. The fear and gloom we have about are, just like James said, what's going on politically or what's going on in our lives, and how do we overcome that fear and that gloom. So,
Yeah.
okay. So the third tip, as I said, is to change the focus. Now, this can be brief or it can be long-lived. What I mean is, let's say you're upset because your daughter is taking heroin and you have tried over and over to help and you don't seem to be helping. Okay. Change your focus. Instead of trying to get your daughter to do what you want her to do, why don't you help some other addict who really wants help? See? That's a way of changing your focus. And that can be long term. You say, I'm going to go into addiction counseling, and I've done the best that I can with my daughter, but whatever. Something I can do to give me a lift, and I'm not going to be caught up in the fear and the gloom about what she's doing, because I am changing my focus to something else. Now, another way you can change your focus, you go into Facebook, and if your Facebook is anything like mine, and it may not be, there's going to be 50 videos about dogs being rescued or puppies and
Or animals doing cute things.
animals doing cute things, or babies. They don't give me that many babies. They know that I'm more interested in dogs. But anyway, or what are the latest keyboards, right? And I'm changing my focus. Now, you can say, well, but if it's only temporary, what is the point? Well, I'll tell you what the point is. When I change my focus, I change my feelings. So I'm no longer feeling gloomy and doomy.
Right.
And,
No longer at the effect.
right.
By the way, Todd thanked us for what we just did.
Okay.
And then Amy says, thank you very much for this topic.
You're welcome, Amy. So, when we change our mood, we might be listening to some music or getting up and dancing or taking a walk or painting or just taking a nap. It depends on your health and what it is that you can do. But what happens is in the moment that you are focused on something else, you have changed your inner experience of life and see? And then you start to relax. Now, I want to say something that I think is really important about this, that you may disagree. But when you relax, it's not just that you take that stress off your nervous system, and you may really need to change your focus in order to do that because you might find that breathing isn't enough, although that's a good thing to do. But also, when you relax, you may go into a different dimension, state of consciousness, and you may start having different ideas. When you're in fear and you are in gloom, are you thinking straight? No.
No.
You're thinking gloom, you're thinking fear, you're like, woo, woo, woo.
Panic, stress.
Panic, stress. So even if your change of focus is temporary, it can be enormously helpful. So it's like, oh, yeah, it's a sunny day, which it isn't here. It's started raining and it hasn't stopped, but it's good because we've been in drought. Oh, and I'm always worrying about the weather, right? And global warming and all that stuff. But when I go out and enjoy a good day that we're having right now, or go into the yard,
or doing something indoors that's enjoyable, like you were talking about.
or doing
Music,
something in,
dance, creative endeavor.
I clear the deck of all that static, and I am open to inspiration.
Yes.
And I probably need inspiration. Now, I want to get on to tip number 4. So, tip number 1 was just to accept that reality is reality without liking it, but just saying, okay, this is it. What am I going to do? How am I going to handle this? I can't fight that it is happening. The second tip was to
Don't exaggerate.
Don't exaggerate things. Don't blow it up and make it even worse. And talk to all your friends and make it worse for them, and spread, by the way, disinformation and so on. Just cool it. Don't make it worse than it is, which is a tendency we have. The third thing is to change the focus, either on a permanent basis. It's like, okay, I'm no longer going to focus on getting my husband to stop philandering. Philandering, for those of you who don't know that word in English, it means sleeping around. Let's say, he's doing that, and I've been trying to get him to stop. And I say, okay, he isn't stopping. After 50 years, I think I've figured out that he's not going to stop. So what else can I focus on, either with him or something else that I want to do? And so that kind of leads me into 4, but the change of focus can be something permanent, like, oh, I'm going to get a job and stop sitting at home and waiting for him. Or I'm going to do something else rather than watching to see what he's doing and spying on his cell phone, right? Or if it's political, I am going to think about something else. I'm going to think about puppies. I'm going to smile. I'm going to listen to music. Now, the 4th tip is really an extension of tip number 3, which is to ask yourself what you want to focus on in your life, not just in the moment. And so that kind of spilled over from 3, but I want to show you more about what I mean. it's one thing to watch videos about cute puppies or rescue dogs. And it's the other to say, I'm going to refocus my life on rescuing animals. And I really want to do that. And maybe that's going to mean that I have to become a vet and I have to go to school because that's what I really want to do. Or I want to join the Humane Society, or I want to become a dog walker. It could be anything. So many different things. And you say, okay, I want to stop focusing on things that are negative that I cannot change. And I want to start to help the world in the ways that I can, that are right in front of me.
Very good.
And most of us can actually find something, but it might take making a plan. Oh, I want to become a veterinarian. Oh, isn't that wonderful? Well, maybe that means I've got to pull my money together. First, I have to get a job so that I make some money. Or maybe there's scholarships, whatever. I don't know anything about veterinarian school, actually. And then I'm going to find out what the prerequisites are and also take a look and see if I have any aptitude whatsoever for doing this. Now, at that moment, you have changed your focus in a major way. You have changed your focus to making a contribution to something you value. Now, you might be changing your focus. Let's say you're, and by the way, there's a second part to this, which I'll get to in a minute. Let's say you're very upset about the political situation. Well, you might find yourself focusing on one aspect of it. Amnesty International. I think I'm going to work for, whatever cause. And so there it is. I'm suddenly doing something about the world instead of just complaining about it. Or I decide I am going to run for office.
Well then, that's taking action.
And in the process, you start gathering with others. You start finding other people who believe the same way you do, and you bolster each other. And when you're together, you can either go back into gloom and anger and all that and fear, or you can say, look what we can do. Let's do this, let's do this, let's do this.
We have another comment here, this one from Amy. To be honest, I'm finding it difficult to not get frustrated with repeat scheduling mistakes this week at my job that is costing me time and money.
Well, I understand being frustrated, but now this brings me to actually the second part of tip number 4.
Drum
Are
roll.
you ready? Are you going to be disappointed or not? Okay. Tip number 4, the second part, is not to think about what you want to do, but think about what you want to feel.
Ooh. Happy. I want to feel happy.
If you want to feel happy, then you're going to have to decide to feel happy despite the scheduling issues. You say, okay, right now I'm feeling frustrated. Very normal, very understandable. But do I really want to feel angry or do I want to feel happy? Well, then what do I do to feel happy? And that's part of the refocusing. Okay, let's say, we're back at the situation where your husband is acting out in ways that you don't approve of or that you haven't agreed to, because some people, that's the kind of marriage they want. And so you say, well, how can I be happy? I have to leave him. Well, maybe you do have to leave him. So then come up with a plan and leave, right? I mean, don't just sit there and bitch. Do something. However, it's also possible that in the meantime, you want to be happy. Well, think of that. How can I be happy when he has not changed?
Cultivate other relationships.
Cultivate just cultivate happy. Think about every moment. What could I be thinking or feeling or doing that would make me happy? Let's say my schedule was screwed up and they didn't do it right, and now I'm home and I don't have a job. Okay, that may be vexing. Of course, you could say, oh, I'm happy that I still have a job.
And I could be doing something else with that extra free time.
And I can be doing something. Oh, I can organize my pictures. I can play with my cat.
Or you can put yourself in a good mood and have a chat with the people responsible for scheduling and see what you can work out.
Now, supposing my husband's at the same table with me. Now, this is like, how am I going to not feel angry when he's sitting at the same table? Well, there are several options. Don't eat with him. Or figure out how to create an environment of happiness in that moment. Now, I find this extremely challenging because what I want to do is pout and get angry and blamey and all of that. So this is not easy. But you see, if I'm smiling and whistling and singing a song and he's sitting at the table and I've got some plan, now, I'm not saying the plan is to do any bodily harm to him, but I have to decide whether I'm going to stay in that relationship. And this happens to people all the time. I'm using husband. It could be anybody, even could be roommate, or job or boss or anything like that, right? So let's say I say yes. Eventually, I'm going to leave this job. And in the meantime, how can I be happy? Is this offensive to you? Or do you see what I'm saying? Because happiness is here. And I am sabotaging my own happiness. So I say, I want to be happy. And I'm not happy about the political situation. I'm not happy about my personal situation. I'm not happy with my job. I'm not happy with my child. I'm not happy with any. I want to be happy. Well, at that moment, I need to say, what can I do to be happy? Okay, quickly, Amy.
Amy says, I never thought about asking myself how I want to feel. I just kept trying not to be angry.
Right.
Hasn't worked, so we'll look at what would make me feel happy instead.
Exactly.
And Todd says, I see what you're saying.
Isn't that cool? So if you like this show, give it a like or a love on Facebook and give it a thumbs up on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and click on notification. Follow us on Facebook. And before I close, come back next week at Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. for Lighting the Way, even though it doesn't say that, and hopefully that that this program is going to work better next week. It certainly blew me up today, and I am going to be happy because you were here and we had a good
have this experience.
Exactly. So I decided to have a good time and be happy. Be happy, guys, because if we are not happy, we are making the world gloomier. We're making it worse for everybody, and give ourselves that little bit of relaxation. Something will come to you. You will have an idea of what to do. You will be inspired by something. You'll meet other people. You'll gather together. You'll see opportunities that you can't, because when you're angry and gloomy and fearful, you are like a closed jar.
I've got one quick thing to say.
Very quick.
Yeah, in the immediate sense, you can just put on some music, get up, and dance until you're feeling really good.
Well, that's right. That's the short term.
Short term.
Short
that's
term
a step
mood
shifting
changer.
The energy, shifting the feeling.
Exactly. And find out what it is that you really want to feel. Maybe you want to feel angry. Maybe you need to feel angry because you need to make a decision, and so you have to rev up your anger, and you're scared, and you overcome your fear by getting really angry. But whatever it is that you want to feel, think about that. Come back next week, Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. Pacific time for Lighting the Way. And tomorrow night is Magical Improvs with the Kindred Spirit Band, 7 p.m. Pacific time. And we will be playing music for you. Come and make a request. Love you.
Yes. Great to have you with us tonight.